A warm welcome to our esteemed panelists and all of you. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp 0 to 1, How to Build the Future. Today's topic is the business of art and NFTs. I would like to begin by welcoming the President IMC, Mr. Khurakiwala, to give the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, all of you and all the participants to this wonderful event, Entrepreneurship Bootcamp 0 to 1, the business of art and non-fungible tokens. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome each one of you to this very interesting and this exclusive series of the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp 0 to 1, organized by the Indian Merchants Chamber's Young Leaders Forum. Under the aegis of this series till date, we have organized a talk on the business of EdTech, the business of cryptocurrency, and today we meet to understand the business of art and NFTs. In today's world, there are many avenues for investors to invest their money. Fixed income bonds, debt, foreign exchange, real estate, and so on. In recent years, art and NFTs too have also become an asset class. It's an old saying that we should never put our eggs in one basket. This logic appears for investments also. The objective of today's event is to apprise the participants about business of art and NFTs and the vital role it plays, and the sheer and that it can bring into our global economic system. Expert speakers we have today will also share with us their views on the importance of diversifying the investment portfolio through their journey, experiences, and lessons, which will help our budding and aspiring entrepreneurs. Friends, we have lined up excellent speakers with domain expertise. I'm sure the insights will benefit all of us. I'd like to welcome Mrs. Akshita Gandhi, international artist and entrepreneur, Mr. Jamshed Mistry, founder, International Legal Alliance, Mr. Rishiraj Sethi, co-founder, Aura Art, and Mr. Toshendra Sharma, founder and CEO, Anethically. Before I end, I'd like to give you a brief about our Indian Merchants Chamber of Industry. It's a pioneer chamber of commerce in the country with a rich legacy, well over 100 years of excellent service to trade, industry, and commerce. With its membership base of over 5,000 members and over 150 trade associations affiliated to it, the chamber represents and advocates interests of over 400,000 business and industry establishments across the country from diverse sectors of our industry. Through its various expert committees, IMC provides policy inputs for the government, both central and state, and is continually engaged in interaction with policymakers at various levels. The chamber is now a cradle for nurturing young talents and promoting emancipation of women through Young Leaders Forum and Ladies Wing, which have become embodiment of youth enterprise, positivism, proactive thought leadership, and movement for women empowerment and entrepreneurship. The theme for this year is engaging Maharashtra and building India. I once again welcome all of you to this exclusive discussion. I'm sure the seminar will empower you to make a better and a fruitful investment decisions in future. I'm reminded of a very timely quote by Nelson Mandela: "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change our world." Have a great evening filled with learning and knowledge. Thank you. Over to you, Vidhi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can. Yeah. So thank you so very much, sir, for that. So to discuss the art sector and NFT, we have the privilege to have with us today the experts who are the very best. We're very privileged to have with us Advocate Mr. Jamshed Mistry, founder of International Legal Alliance. He is an independent counsel and founder of the International Legal Alliance, virtual global network of lawyers. It is founded in Mumbai, having a network of independent legal professionals from all over the world, over 150 countries across all states of India. Mr. Mistry is skilled in various types of litigation, international law, media and entertainment law, social and public interest causes, service laws, etc. He is qualified from the University of Mumbai, Bachelor of Commerce, HR College of Commerce and Economics, Bachelor of Law, LLB from Government Law College, and PG Diploma in Labor Laws and Labor Welfare from Dr. Ambedkar College of Law. Also extremely happy to have with us Mr. Toshendra Sharma, who is the founder and CEO of Anethically. Anethically, a first of its kind global NFT marketplace to mint, buy, or sell NFTs with a mission to revolutionize the NFT space by making it accessible to everybody: celebrities, influencers, artists, and enterprises. The platform has been set up by Toshendra, which allows creators to launch their own NFT market store or marketplace, and has a large number of multidisciplinary artists and content creators on their platform. He is a postgraduate in computer science from IIT Bombay and was enlisted in Forbes Asia 30 under 30 list of 2018 and also Forbes India 30 under 30 in 2016. He has founded various tech companies and started various projects as a single founder, such as Tosh Innovations, Ashto Innovations, and Anethically. Also happy to have with us Rishiraj Sethi, co-founder Aura Art. Rishiraj co-founded Aura Art in 2008, which is well on its way to becoming India's largest integrated art house. It helps identifying and promoting artists of caliber, guiding family offices, collectors, and corporates for building art collections, providing art infrastructure solutions for managing collections, and providing complete art solutions and developing an online marketplace, auraart.in. He pursued his CA, an All India rank holder, and CFA, US, while working with 11 years with Anderson. He is now recognized as a thought leader in the art space, authoring publications such as The Science Behind Valuing Art, Art Tax, Managing Tax Risks of Artwork, Art IIP, Art of Creating Intellectual Property, and reports on art trends and art insurance. Also extremely delighted to have Akshita Gandhi, who's going to moderate the session for us. She is a multimedia artist, philanthropist, and entrepreneur based in Mumbai. Akshita's photographs and mixed media works have extensively been exhibited at 27 galleries and art fairs in India and around the world. She was nominated as the Global Artist of the Year in Dubai in 2018 and has just dropped her first NFT on Art Crore Throne. She's completed a BBA in finance from the American University in Dubai. She has also co-founded the Dua Foundation in 2015, an NGO that works with the vulnerable members of society to help them achieve financial independence using their art skills. I will hand it over to Akshita to take this ahead.
Thank you so much for the lovely introductions, and thank you IMC for having me on. I'm extremely excited and look forward to speaking with the esteemed speakers. So without much delay, I'm going to dive right into it. An important word that we're going to be hearing a lot today is blockchain, and I'm going to start by defining it a little bit and telling you all about it. So blockchain is a digital ledger of transactions that is duplicated and distributed along different systems that makes it difficult or impossible to either change or hack. And I want to start by bringing in Mr. Sethi. Mr. Sethi, if you can give us a brief introduction on NFTs, what they're about, and begin today's discussion.
Sure, it's a pleasure. I will actually give a brief overview of the art industry first,
sure,
so that the context is there for the viewers, and define different forms of art, real and digital, and then set the tone for the NFT discussion, which Toshendra will then take it on.
Sure.
If I may just share some slides. As I mentioned, I'm a compulsive slide presenter. Are the slides visible now?
Not yet.
So you haven't shared yet.
Rehearse with coach. Tap to start. One second. Share. I did a share screen. Share screen. Start now.
Yes, I think we're screen sharing now.
Is it visible now, the slide?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. So I will just, so a lot of discussion that we're doing around art. I would like the audience to also consider collectibles as an equally interesting space for the NFT discussion in particular, and maybe even more important than art. And everything we discuss around art is actually relevant to the larger collectible space, whether it's antiques, whether it is the new age collectibles, whether it's vintage cards, coin stamps. To set the backdrop, looking at how the global treasure map runs, and I would just do an India-China comparative, but that's obviously always the flavor of the season. 17% of Chinese wealth is already allocated to treasures, with fine art being the number one category, whereas only 3% of Indian wealth is allocated to treasures. And as you know, every Indian owns a piece of jewelry or gold. And there's no surprise that fine art is not in the first three assets, as well as jewelry leads that pack. So overall, first, within the Indian bucket, we have a lot more of collectibles and art buying to happen in the next decade, we believe. And there are a lot of granular data points on that as to how there's a decaying, there's a propensity to buy less jewelry after you own a particular amount. But in art, there's a propensity to buy more after you own art, because the love and passion grows and the allocation can only increase. Again, looking at India, China, US, 2006, when I wrote my first article in art, China was 5-6% of global, US was 30%. And I wrote in 10 years, China can beat US. Fait accompli, in 5 years itself, China was 30% and US was 29%, partly with the Lehman bust and US collapsing for the short period. But the point is that overall, China still maintained 20% plus global market share. India is still at 0.3, 0.4, 0.5%. So again, you see a lot of catch up required on the art side, and some more stats I'd love you to see in the reports if you have time later or interest. Valuation of art, very interesting. There are strong bases for valuing a Gaitonde at 40 crore or a Da Vinci at 3,000 crores based on demand supply, based on specifications, based on the social historic value. And some of those are very tangible factors once you understand further. So I'm not able to do justice to the slides for want of time because NFT is a focus today, but just want to leave you the flavor that there is some method in the madness. Art, while for an onlooker may just feel like a very nebulous industry where suddenly somebody wakes up with a particular price, it's not the case. From a 40 crore Gaitonde to a Taibmata 25 crore to a Souza, there's a lot of granular differences between the artists and artworks that create those number changes. And likewise, Indian art 30 crores, 40 crores the highest now. Chinese art 140 crore, global art 3,000 crores. So you see at the headline number also a lot of room for growth. We're fortunate to have done a report also with Mr. Jamshed Mistry, whom you'll hear later, on the intellectual property of art. Very interesting discussion on copyrights and other rights, which I'd encourage you to read. This is the core of the discussion today. I'll take some more time on this slide. What I'm trying to explain here are two parts. One is, first, what is the art market made up of? There is a primary market and secondary market, like any other market. Where is equity market? Also, you have an unlisted market, IPO market, and then the secondary market, stock market. In primary market, the art changes hands for the first time from a buyer, from artist studio to a first-time buyer. And secondary market, it can change hands multiple times. Overall, Indian art and collectibles is not properly mapped in the books of collectors. Largely because till 2008, art was a personal effect, not even eligible for capital gains. Art and collectibles have not been in part of the wealth tax bucket, which ideally they should have been, which would have increased the rigor of compliance and the recording on the books. So because of that, for the largest period, from 1900 to 2008, anybody's bought and sold art, it's absolutely off the record. From 2008, obviously, only sales of art get captured. A parallel market continues. So, overall, you can imagine that most of the art is underdocumented in India. That creates challenges when you resell the art of masters, the artists who passed away. Blockchain plus tagging. Incidentally, one of the first conferences on blockchain had happened in the US around 7-8 years back. A school friend of mine attended and later came back to me a few years back with excitement, few years after that with excitement. Obviously, the subject was new to us that time. And he said the speaker actually gave the two best examples for blockchain application: art and horses. He said, jahan nasal, he explained in Hindi, obviously speaker was in English, and jahan nasal ka farak padta hai, and jahan, where value increases over time with changing hands, and also from where it's come, the pedigree matters. Blockchain is the most practical application. Having said that, unfortunately, I think in the whole excitement around crypto and many other things, the boring or plain vanilla applications of blockchain, which are more fundamental to the industry, have sort of not been the focus which we hope to work on. we're already working on. So blockchain and tagging of the art creates a great system for long-term provenance building, a discussion we can have at some other time. And there's a lot of the focus in the art market now has been on real art, paintings, sculptures, antiques, prints, photographs. Whereas the NFT discussion, which is new now to the whole world and to India, has started off a lot around digital art, because by the nature of the animal, NFT, you having a digital art backbone with a digital NFT and transferability through digital platforms makes it a very seamless trade. Whereas the physical art needs to be mapped to the NFT through a tag system, as I mentioned, tagging physical chip and some other way of reading that chip, and then it comes to NFT. But the larger industry globally in India is non-digital art, is the real art. So while the digital art has taken the head start, we are hoping that eventually the real art will get mapped to NFT and much bigger play will happen. I will still, from our understanding, sum up quickly the pros and cons of the NFT move that's happening. Great authenticity and provenance trail will help in a very interesting story of fractional ownership being traded. And if you can build a community around certain structures, then that'll be very interesting to do on NFT on digital. But as I said, the game changer is when you connect real and digital, real art and NFTs. On the con side, a lot of it will get debated today, is, as I said, is largely around digital art, which in our view is not very rare. There is a oversupply of digital art. A lot of it is average and doesn't, may trade at $100 otherwise, but certainly goes into an NFT platform and becomes worth a few lakhs. We don't understand the reason for the re-rating. Too much reliance of the NFT trade on crypto. I think it have to open up to fiat currency to make it a larger play and more interesting, and to remove the oscillation of the crypto. It goes up 10x, it falls by 50% in the last 6 months. Too much oscillation. Resale, a great advantage of the NFT bandwagon is supposed to be royalty to artists. As we all know in the art world globally and in India, that's a very, very challenging debate to settle on. And therefore, to bank on that is a very important advantage, I think is not really the case. Markets grown in value too fast, and we'll see some quick comparables. And again, any technology has its risks. And in India, the legal framework is the bigger risk. Very quickly looking at how the volume has grown suddenly. In the NFT trading volumes, you've suddenly hit from a zero 1 year back to $10 billion in the Q3 of 2021, which is when this data was allocated. And within that, as I expected, collectibles is bigger than art. So art is a $50-60 billion annual trade, out of which NFT is 1.8 billion, is still just a few percentage points, 3%. Whereas in the collectible space, 5.6 billion is a very large number. So it's dominated by that, which is understandable. Last few slides on what are the important case studies, which I'm sure Tushindar will also cover. Beeple. But again, you have to understand that Beeple is a grandmaster to digital art. He's like a Hussein of digital art or a Picasso of digital art. He's been working for 30-40 years as a successful commercial artist. And then the very first work that is every day has been built over 5,000 days. It's a 10-year journey to create one artwork, which eventually gets you to a $69 million value. But if you look at the spike is very sharp. His works have sold at less than $100 in October 2020. Crossroads, one of his works, the image on the left, sells at $66,000 in October 2020. And actually, Beeple goes on record to say in an interview that this is a mind-blowing number and I can't believe it. Then $66,000 becomes 6.6 million within 3 months and becomes 69 million within 1 month for a different artwork. But it's too crazy, the whole move. But anyways, it's sort of dust is settling a bit now. Human One has gone at 29 million. But very interesting thing that Human One creates for us is understandable. As we said, the merger of real art and NFT is more interesting. And Beeple himself, being the largest well-wisher and adopter of digital art, has actually gone real. So this is a physical artwork that is sold at $29 million. And then many more NFT trade data is there. If required in a question answer, we will rely on this. I would like to get in further into discussion. And as I said, the community angle. CryptoPunk is a great example we should study as to where the community angle actually created the wildfire for that NFT and not simply the fact that it was digital art. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much. Obviously, happy to engage further during the session.
Thank you so much for that very informative, for those very informative slides, Mr. Sethi. I want to bring in Mr. Sharma here. Mr. Sharma, you formed Anethically, and I want to ask you, what is your aim? How do you help others innovate the space? How do brands leverage NFTs right now?
Thank you. Akshita. So Anethically is actually a white label platform which helps enterprises, celebrity and influencer launch their own white label NFT store or marketplace. So let's say if there is a museum or there is an art gallery or there is a company in content space or a celebrity or influencer, they generally tend to sell their NFTs in their own branded environment. So rather than selling it on some OpenSea or some random marketplace, they prefer to control the user base, everything within their own environment with their own logo and everything. So we provide that within a day, or mean like since it's a white label service solution, like a Shopify for NFTs. So we help them from strategy to building, designing, as well as the platform, and platform obviously support minting in various blockchain. So what happens is in NFTs, like when you create an NFT, you then mint them onto the blockchain. So when you minting it, you are supposed to select the which blockchain you want to mint it, and then on which currency you're going to sell it. So for that, actually, we provide multiple options of the blockchain on the same marketplace, and people can own literally everything and make money in the primary and secondary market. So Anethically support the primary as well as secondary market. Plus the marketplace can set their own commission if they want to. So NFTs are like, as the previous speaker has already explained, that is like a manifest of the digital assets into a blockchain, and there is a small number inside that ledger that is being tracked. So whoever can own this track number will be considered as the owner of the NFT. NFT can be anything digital, virtual, or anything as an opportunity as well. So let's say I can mark any opportunity as an NFT and say, let's say, for example, to speak in this conference, you have to buy an NFT of 15 minutes long speaker speaking slot is available as an NFT. You can buy it. So whoever will buy that NFT will be available, can actually utilize that particular 15-minute slot and then speak about anything that he wants to. So something like an opportunity. So let's say if you buy Salman Khan NFT, you get a chance to speak to Salman Khan. Simple, right? Or it can be an ebook, it can be image, photo, it can be maybe a Zoom link, it can be anything. So technically, people have realized that it is a very good way to generate an engagement and own the particular user base outside the corporation control environment or platform. For example, a celebrity actress has been banned by Twitter, and she had a lot of followers. But technically, if you look closely, she was not the owner of those followers. And she was just being a person who has been represented by the particular profile on the Twitter. So if you want to own the particular followers of your own self as a celebrity, then better to have them in the real-time digital world or a decentralized world where no corporation is in the control. So of course, giving control to the corporation is something nobody wants. So NFT actually help them sell in a peer-to-peer model. So for example, if I am selling something on Amazon, if you look closely, Amazon is a third party which is mediating the transaction. So in blockchain world, nobody likes it. Creators do not like that. Creators say that I want to sell to that person. I don't want any intermediary, and I don't want any risk on my transaction. I can sell anything to anyone without any risk. So you might be thinking, okay, so while selling the digital item, what is the risk? What will I have to lose? So there is a problem. For example, if you're selling an ebook, right, and somebody has purchased an ebook, and after purchasing, let's say 3 days, he says that call to the credit card company saying that I don't like this, or I'm not the one who made the transaction. I want my money back. The credit card company tends to reverse the transaction, and you as a seller will lose money, and your NFT, your ebook has already been given to the buyer. And even if the buyer says that, okay, I'm sending you your ebook back, I don't need it. There is no way you can trace how many copies that person has already made in his laptop. So problem with the digital item is the moment you sell it to someone, there is no way you can actually get that value back, because the value is gone. The file, even if you get the file back, that doesn't matter. Value has already gone. So even if it comes to music, videos, it becomes a big problem, because the replica of the digital asset is exactly same as the original one. There is no way you can actually differentiate between the original and the fake one. But the moment NFT comes, there is no risk to them. For example, I can sell my art, and there is no way somebody will get the access to my art, but I will not get the access to the money. That is not possible. You will get your money and he will get his art. Even if he says that I don't want this art, I just take this art, I want my money back. There is no way actually he can do that. And there is no one he can go to get the help. But in a centralized world, there is always a government, there is always a Razorpay, there is always a Stripe, there is always a credit card company. You can just call and say that I want my money back. I want to block my card. This is a stolen transaction. So these kind of risks actually creators have, faced, especially the digital creators. and they are not very relaxed and safe. Another thing is that, royalty issues. So whenever the real creator used to create arts, they used to not get royalty. They are supposed to get royalty. Even as per the law, it is being clearly mentioned, but they don't get royalty. But the moment it comes the smart contract or the NFTs, there is no way they can actually take anything back. So Anethically actually goes, extra mile to actually give them an entire platform where they can just relax. They can, let's say, if I want to sell 1 million NFT, 10 lakh or 1 crore NFTs, I can do it within Anethically within 10 minutes or 20 minutes or so. So ultimately, what we have seen in our past experience since last 6 months of our launch, that all enterprises are interested in exploring this. Every creator is actually interested in exploring NFTs. Even though they don't understand it, they are actually trying to understand it. So that's a good sign, because of course, technology is complicated. It's very difficult to understand the core value. But the good part is people are actually trying it by giving a decent time in learning. Of course, the learning has gone up. So blockchain learning, NFT learning, cryptocurrency learning has gone tremendously up since last few months or even years. And this is a good sign overall. So I feel that, what value that industry is fetching from the NFT will stay here forever, and this is not going back to the normal world. So you like it or not, metaverse, NFT, they're not going back.
So I want to bring in Mr. Mystery here. Mr. Mystery, there's been a mention of royalties for artists by Mr. Sharma. From a legal point of view, I want to ask you what your take would be on copyrights and just the whole process of how, when somebody's new, when they're getting into it, what do they have to think about, know from a legal perspective?
So now, of course, we are talking about three different areas. One is, of course, the traditional, from the artist perspective, from the buyer's perspective, from an investor's perspective. Each perspective is a little different. And so traditionally, of course, we are governed by intellectual property rights. We have the Copyrights Act, where it says that, the artist is in essence the first owner or the creator of, and as you know, the Copyrights Act is not one right, but it is a bundle of rights. So all those rights come together, and then he has the ability to reproduce his work. He can license it, he can sell it, assign it, he can, also communicate, importantly, the work to the public. So all that is covered under the Act. And then it is, up to 60 years. And in case he passes away, then, a further 60 years is granted. So this is in the traditional sense. Now, as far as somebody who's buying art or is collecting art, you, in essence, what you get is an assignment or a license from the original owner. And this transaction happens when you pay for it, buy it in a particular, or it's leased to you, or even if it's, for example, you use it in a wedding invitation card sometimes, and that question is that, what are the rights of the artist? What is the right of someone who's put it out? So these are very interesting questions as far as the law is concerned. So, these things are balanced, but let me just tell you across the board, just now, the regime that we are following in India currently is that the first owner or the artist, irrespective of, you just can't buy out his copyright completely. He will still have the right. And therefore, he's entitled to royalties in one form or the other. That's one. When you come down to the other aspect of, the investment with regard to, whether it's NFT or blockchain or cryptocurrency. Now, that's a completely new sort of vista as far as the law is concerned. The law is supposed to actually match up. Currently, as you know, in India, it is still lying, at the legislative level. We don't have any law. NFT, for example, should technically be defined under the Copyrights Act. It has not yet happened. And as the speaker just before me said, your transactions are very quick. And, is there a mechanism to actually, in such cases, calculate royalties and other things? The answer is no, and I think the world genuinely needs to look at this, and not only from an India perspective, but from a global perspective, because you can't have cases going to court and lying there for several years. Here in half an hour you can do 50 to 100 transactions. So it's a huge change. But as Rishi Raj very rightly said, I think the use of NFT to authenticate the art, the piece of art, is a great step in the right direction. You also and I think that will cut out a lot of the fakes that we see sometimes in the artwork. So I think that's a wonderful step in the right direction. We definitely need legislation, no question about it. And the sooner it comes in and the sooner that the government accepts it, trade in crypto and all is permitted, but there is nothing to sort of manage it as of today. So I think we are in a very interesting space, and as lawyers and with smart contracts, etc., we are this is a very, very exciting time in this space.
Right. So of course the questions we're going to take a little later, but Mr. Mistry, since we're speaking about it, we have a question. How safe is it to get on the crypto or NFT channel without decisive law?
Well, I think, see, without decisive law, the problem is it is not backed by, normally your currency is backed either in some countries by bullion or by the government. So that is not there today. So you are taking a risk. I would like to pose a counter question. It could be very interesting to try and see if you actually could get insurance against something like this. Whether you can insure a transaction for. So that would be something that we can ask the large reassurance broking companies, whether they can actually insure persons who are investing in such. Because as the speaker very rightly said, it is based on a whim, a concept. For you, your valuation might be X. I might look at it as X plus 1,000. So where is that, and is that definite? So these are. So the answer to the specific question is just wait a while. I think we will see something very soon. I mean, there are petitions pending in courts, in the High Court, Bombay High Court for sure, on cryptocurrency, and I think we should see some definite result very, very shortly. And I think once that happens, then it will be open to interpretation.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Mistry. Mr. Sethi, I want to bring you in here. I know part of Aura Art's mission is to establish art as an asset class and educate buyers on the opportunities and challenges of wealth creation through art. If one would like to invest in NFTs and look at NFTs also as an asset class, and explore further opportunities and career options, what is something you would like to share or give us some insight on that?
Absolutely, yes. So what we're seeing is when you're investing in NFT is a platform. It's a mechanism to take part in a value of an underlying, and therefore the opportunity is just as interesting as the underlying.
Right.
So obviously, let's say in the real art world, and I keep saying real and digital just for this construct, obviously digital art is also part of the real art world, part of the art world, otherwise in part of fine art. But in the real physical art world, there are opportunities to participate. If an NFT layer helps people broad base their buying opportunity, and for even people to leverage their crypto balances into putting into fine art, it's a great advantage. At the same time, if some real cutting edge digital art comes, then the market digital art was not being well catered to by the gallery networks. NFT provides a great platform for digital art to trade. Again, that will get attention, like the Beeple example. So we are saying underlying art is what is to be looked at to spot the opportunity.
Right.
There is a bit of a misnomer of that NFTization of any asset creates value. That's the disconnect we have. That if a particular painting is to sell at 1 lakh in the secondary market, NFTization can obviously add some value. It could be 25%, could be 50%, because now from here on, this particular asset tagged on the NFT marketplace will trade seamlessly, will have a great provenance for life, and will attract more buyers. But you can't have a situation where a 1 lakh painting in the real world will sell at 25 lakh in the NFT marketplace. So we are seeing those type of disconnects, which has happened in some speculative deals, is what we are against. But so as long as the underlying is interesting, anything you put on the NFT will add more value, clearly, and you'll see those type of deals happening in times to come. Number one. Number two is equally powerful, is the opportunity for the art infrastructure. You said the opportunity for entrepreneurs. The entire art infrastructure, as a area is missing sorely in India, which is from documenting collections, valuing them, helping insurance, helping in restoration, conservation, helping in provenance check, helping in different type of testings. I think there's an opportunity for anyone and everyone to work in any of those spectrums, even as an artist and as a non-artist, to get involved in any of the infrastructure to build significant value in times to come. Because as the cultural assets get revalued and get valued greater, the infrastructure and requirement for that will also get valued, and the catch-up will be very rapid. And we're doing a catch-up of centuries. With every incremental year, then when a collector suddenly wakes up and says, I want to document my family heritage and take care of it, he's trying to catch up on 3 generations of wealth allocated towards art. So the catch-up will be a windfall of centuries in years, if not decades. And that will create a very, very large opportunity. Globally, there is a statistic that a 1 to 2% of the global art market is the infrastructure market. So in a $50-60 billion trade globally of art, 1 to 2% of the wealth in art, which is supposed to be $3 trillion. So 1 to 2% of 3 trillion is again 30 to 60 billion. So $60 billion of art changes hands, and the supporting industry is 30 to 60 billion. And in India, it's missing. So that large industry will get mapped in India. The type of restorations happening to our temples, and as I said, to our Shekhawati Havelis, to our heritage sites, the type to our government forts, to our dilapidated monuments, all of that is going to be a huge cultural uplift, which is a great opportunity for anyone to come in now.
Right. Thank you so much for that. Mr. Sharma, I'd like to bring you in here and also get your opinion on, career opportunities in art and NFT, and for people who may or may not even have experience in coding, and may not necessarily be artists. What are some opportunities for them on the platform, or how can they get involved with NFTs and on blockchains?
So, since this is a very new space, not everybody is aware of anything, and people definitely need some help, either our business or an artist or any kind of business who wants to enter into NFT, they need experts. So you don't have to be the coder. You don't have to be the blockchain developer. You can be a distribution expert. You can be the NFT subject matter expert. You can be the royalty expert. You can be the community expert, because mostly the valuation drives from the community. I think more than 60-70% of the value comes from the community. Some part comes from the creator. Some part comes the look and feel of the image, which is a very rare nowadays. People are selling literally anything. So you can just become that expert who understand the entire market. Of course, for example, legal expert. So right now, for example, my company is actually hiring legal expert who can understand the NFTs and cryptocurrencies, or especially around the international laws. So I think most of the startups or the companies who are exploring NFTs are looking for experts: sales, marketing, finance, accounting, and legal, and operations, brand marketing, onboarding, you name it.
Right.
You have to just be focused on one problem and be an expert of it. You just can be hired immediately. Of course, blockchain developer is a very small part of the entire blockchain business or NFT business. So, we just have around 10 to 20% of the development part, and remaining 80% is non-development part. So I think company like us is the right example. So you can actually get hired very easily if you have an expertise.
Absolutely. Just to quickly add to that, the community angle, which I mentioned earlier as well, also, Jashinder rightly pointed out, is the most powerful idea. There's a lovely case study I couldn't develop a slide on. The Bored Ape Yacht Club. I would request all users to Google on that. So how where buying that NFT not only gives you access to the digital art, but also gives you membership into that club. And therefore, the dual application creates a lot of excitement, hype, and re-rating of the value. So I think those are the most powerful ideas. How do you get community leverage on the NFT?
He's right. So there are actually three mindset. Whenever people buy NFT, there are generally three mindset. First mind is the collectible mindset. I just buy it because I want to be a collector. That's it. Nothing else. I don't care. It's an emotional argument. You cannot win that because I am emotional about Amitabh Bachchan. I can buy anything he will sell. That's it. Second is that, is the utility, purpose behind the NFTs. So I will buy this because if I'll buy this, I'll get a chance to enter into particular conference event, or maybe, able to go to the yacht, trip or somewhere. The third mindset is around the, I just missed that. It slipped out of my mind. Yeah. Another is that actually the, just slipped out of my mind. Okay. I'll just complete it in a while. So actually there are people actually who are actually buying certain stuffs because of these, one of these combinations. I will get this because I will have this option to acquire this particular asset or particular, membership, and then I'll be able to showcase. So collectible mindset, or the, utility mindset, or the third one I'll complete actually in some time because it just slipped out of my mind. So actually people can actually become an expert of any of these, matters. You can become a expert of utility, for example, and then you can actually get a job. You can actually help people sell more NFTs because there is a utility involved in that. So that can actually be done.
I'll add the fourth one, which is the largest reason today people are doing this, is to resell it to a bigger fool.
Yeah. So it's an investment mindset. Yeah, I think,
speculation is different from investment. So too much speculation.
So I think you forgot that. Actually, utility, collectible, and the investment mindset. Third is actually investment mindset. Actually, that was the missing. Because that's a very common actually, and I'm sure 90 to 95% of the people who are investing in random NFTs for the hope that they will actually get their investment double, triple, or 4 times,
exactly.
or 10 times.
That's the thing, to find the larger
value. We'll be losing their money very hard, and it will be very difficult. And correction will happen when these people will start losing their money. The correction will happen, and the real value will remain. So I think right now 70 to 80% is the hype, and I think 20 to 30% is the real value that NFTs are bringing, and that 30% or 20% is going to drive the value in the entire market globally, and it is happening.
So, Mr. Sethi, I want to bring you in here, and if you can share with us, there's a mention of utility. You mentioned also that NFT was meant to solve blockchain issues. So, speaking of utility and why we had NFT and what blockchains were meant to do, can you shed some light on that, please?
Sure. So, if we go quickly to the slide, I'm not opening it, but just for recap, you had a seller, artist to seller 1, seller 1 to seller 2 and 3. Now, assuming there was blockchain implemented 20 years back, but now let's say a new artist sells on the blockchain. It's a physical work of art. I'm not looking at digital. Digital is easy. It's automatic. The ledger is maintained. What a blockchain does is a distributed ledger, which is technologically foolproof in some sense, tamper-proof. Now, when you sell a painting, you as an artist, your lovely painting, so you are selling a painting to X to me, and I'm buying it at 1 lakh, and you encourage me to record my details on the blockchain. You are maintaining a registry of your own, or you got a lawyer, you got Mr. Mistry who's maintaining your registry, and then I sell it to Toshinder at 2 lakhs, and I request Toshinder also to register that particular transaction with Mr. Mistry on that register, which the blockchain is maintaining. So the beauty is that every time we transact, your particular painting has a tag behind. We've developed a solution with Tagate, a leading company on tagging. You tag the painting, not the frame, but the painting, and we can explain that in detail later. And that painting with a chip, and that chip has that code which is embedded in the NFT. And that hash of the blockchain records all of these attributes of the artwork. Then every time this cycle happens over the next 20 years, each train is recorded in the register that Mr. Mistry is maintaining for you, the blockchain ledger.
Right.
And obviously, we're expecting in 10, 20 years, cryptocurrency, blockchain, all of these, the law will be settled, and the blockchain ledger will be given as much relevance as any other register, because actually it's supposed to be even more foolproof than any other form of registration. And therefore, the subsequent buyers can not have to worry about the authenticity issue that today we have to worry when we buy an old master, and can trace the origin of the painting from the prior buyer right up to you, right up to your studio. That advantage is, you know, you have to be in the art market to understand that value of that advantage. It's phenomenal. I mean, 90% of the art in India is under authenticated. It's not necessarily fake. It's under authenticated.
Right.
And because of that, many more fakes come, right? So in the market, rotating market, again, 90% is challenged, either under documented or actual fakes. All of that can get solved through this NFT chain. And then to add, over time, I think royalty will get settled in some form.
Right.
Then the royalty transactions can come on top of it. And many other type of insurance can happen on top of it. Many other type of value-added things that NFT actually also is planning to do can come on top of it. Then many fraction ownership can come. If when your painting is 1 crore and I want to sell it and 10 buyers want to buy it, then the NFT can list in a fraction ownership marketplace and 10 people can take 10% stake in that painting. So many more things get enabled once you come on the bandwagon of blockchain and NFT.
There is one actually risk in people buying NFTs, that, you know, some buyers are actually putting their NFT on sale and buying their own NFT with their own account or with a different account, because there is an anonymity involved.
Yes.
So they are actually putting their own money to inflate the value.
And
whenever, let's say for example, I am putting an NFT or random NFT on sale with my other blockchain account or a crypto account, I will buy that NFT for, let's say, 10 ether, which is equal to, let's say, 30 lakh rupees. You know, since I bought my own NFT, I got the sale proceed, I got the royalty, and now I am still the owner, but the buyer will see this 10 ether as a value and will actually put 10.1 ether, for example, just to, you know, buy it from me, because I own it at 10 ether. Somebody will try to own from me at 10.1 ether. So what will happen is I, as a seller, will ultimately win with 10.1 ether. So this is the kind of scam that is happening. People have to be very, very careful. Though you don't want to be, you know, stuck in an NFT, which has been, you know, the value has been inflated by the seller with some scams. So because of the anonymity, there is a huge risk. So even if the ledger is maintained, there is still a risk because of the, you know, false transaction or the fake transaction that is happening. So of course,
yes, but just to counter that risk, that will happen if it's digital art of an unknown artist.
Yes, exactly.
Art of an artist whom we are tracing.
Definitely.
Then, you know, what will happen is, like a Hussain today, very broad park, ballpark is 10 lakh square feet. Somebody can do a calculator check and say 15 lakh per square feet, you know, because the great work and because on an NFT.
Right.
It can't be 50 lakh square feet suddenly.
Exactly.
When you combine
there is a noise.
Yes.
Yeah, people are doing it. It's a huge risk. But again, you know, as I said, 5% are the right NFTs, 95% is the noise. Yeah, be careful when you invest. Yeah.
So if I may just add to what Rishiraj said, I think if you see traditionally, the lack of a register under the Copyrights Act, I mean, whether it's music or whether it's films, I mean, in traditional forms. I mean, I know we've had such a lot of problems trying to trace the original, the owner of, or even the assignees today, you know, of where the copyright has gone. So it's a huge problem, and I think that can be resolved by maintaining this ledger. And I think, you know, if it is maintained digitally, and as Rishiraj rightly said, it is the problem would come in certain forms, but these are all things which can very happily be ironed out, because please remember, we've had the experience now of the Copyrights Act, etc., being and you know, working together with the new brand of technologists, and I dare say the young generation can think far quicker than we can. So I think it's a great and very exciting time, legally at least.
Mr. Mistry, also wanted your opinion on, speaking about cryptocurrencies. In 2018, India had banned cryptocurrencies, and there's been some back and forth since, regarding the regulation ban since then. What is the situation like now? Because of course it's impossible to talk about NFTs without touching on some cryptocurrency.
No, so the exact position is very simple. The central bank, that is the RBI, had come out with a particular circular. The Supreme Court says that no, there is no, you can't stop trading. So that is very clear. That the Supreme Court has made very clear. The only, and now it's gone back to legislation. It's gone back to what type of law are we going to have? I mean, are we going to have our own cryptocurrency? Are we going to open it out globally, etc.? These are matters of policy, and therefore, the government is I mean, just remember one thing: we are in a global market. So, you're not going to be able to, you will do what others sort of tell you to do. But it's interesting in what combination it'll come out. And let us see. I mean, are they going to ban it completely? That might be, a very harsh decision, and it'll have its repercussions if it does. But I don't think so. I think there'll be some midpoint from and also remember, everything that the government does will be tested in court. So that's another balancing factor.
Right. Thank you so much for that. We have another question. Mr. Sethi, I'd like to bring you in here. The question says, how does one know the difference between the actual value and the inflated value of an NFT?
Correct. So I'll repeat the example I gave. So assuming the NFT has an underlying painting of a master, and I took the Hussein example, and a canvas of Hussein of a particular different values will come, different sizes and different subjects, but you can take a very broad, 10 lakh per square feet benchmark. And if it's a 3x4 painting, 12 square feet, 1.2 crore is approximately the fair value. Obviously, a great work can go up to 1.8 crore. Also, 50% premium is justified, and was NFT linked, etc. It can be 2 crores. If it's suddenly 5 crores or 10 crores, then you know that there is some buffer being created for some speculation. So in that sense, you will get a fair sense if you go to an art consultant. There are no databases, unfortunately, in India as yet, but if you go to someone who has a database, or you can even find out some of the auction averages with some difficulty from the net, you will get that answer. The question that comes is when you have digital art of artists where there is very little historic data because they're not trading in the gallery scene in that sense. And Beeple is a great example again. And suddenly you see 66,000, 6.6 million, 69 million. Obviously, then you have no benchmarks, right? Yeah. But then those are different. As I said, he's the grandmaster of digital art, and it was Christie's, Sotheby's, large platforms. So assuming less chance of being so much manipulation. But if it's a $100,000 NFT deal on a digital art, then you have no answer unless that artist is known. So you have to really back check on the underlying. And a lot of speculation happening today, as Suchinder passed on, is it could be Hawala transactions, it could be conversion of black money to white, it could be other forms of juggling of funds that are happening, which is very easy to do in an unregulated market with very little data points of value. And that's the reason why regulators are also taking longer to get back as to whether to completely chain the animal or to let it operate with some level of freedom. And those issues will get resolved over time. But therefore, the point is you have to always check the underlying. I think there's no NFT premium beyond a point, beyond 25-50%. You see what the underlying is and you'll get the answer.
Right. Thank you so much. Mr. Sharma, I want to bring you in here for a question. NFTs offer proof of existence, proof of ownership, and proof of copyright to their clients. How do you merge the digital world and the physical world through the work that you do?
A physical world and the virtual world. So I think this particular, that bridge that has to be filled has to be done by a trusted third party. There is no way you can automate that. So it can be a custodian of NFT. For example, let's say Mona Lisa painting or a painting which is just behind the Sethiji's, let's say if he wants to sell that painting to, let's say 200 people in the world as an NFT. So one NFT is equal to 1% of this NFT. So what he can do is he can convert that and that painting, physical painting, into 100 pieces of the NFT. We call it a ERC 1155, which is where the one NFT can have multiple copies. So let's say this NFT has 100 copies and he started selling, let's say per percentage is available, let's say for 1 lakh rupees. So the entire NFT is available for 1 crore rupees. So after this purchase, let's say because of this painting, he's getting some royalty because of the tickets people are paying ready to pay for this painting. And let's say he got around 1 lakh rupees as a monthly sale or monthly royalty fee that he has earned from the gallery or the art gallery where this painting was listed or the available. So what he has to do is he has to literally split that 1 lakh rupees among these 100 stakeholders and pay that out. So in that case, Mr. Sethi will be working as a custodian of this NFT, and it will become his responsibility to distribute. For example, in case, let's say the same all 100 NFT has been bought by a single owner, and he said, I don't know Sethiji's and I just want my painting in my house. That's it. So since he has paid 1 crore rupees and he's the owner, he just say that I want the painting to be shipped to my address. So it will become the seller responsibility to ship it to the owner. Again, there might be a scam where people say that if you buy this, I will ship it to you. But the moment you buy it, they will not ship it to you. That's it. The transactions are not reversible. You cannot go anywhere and dispute this whole thing. So that is also happening. So you have to be very careful whom you are trusting. So people call it do your own research. The way you do in the share market, you have to do the similar research, understanding that who is the seller, how reliable that person is, how many number of followers they have, what is the history and track record. Just Google that seller's name and check if somebody is complaining about his name and his work, then you will be there. But again, the bridging the gap between the physical and the virtual world has to be done by some trusted third party. There is no way to automate that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Just to add to that, Akshita, I think this IMC platform is very helpful because basically I and Tashinder should have met earlier and created a better solution and better answer for your question. And we haven't. It's our fault. So I'm grateful that it's happened today, and we'll catch up soon and hopefully come up with a joint.
Definitely. There is a lot can be done actually.
Yes, and that's unfortunately the truth across that. The NFT world largely are crypto geeks who have sort of come into that space. And they operate very differently and parallelly from the physical world.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that bridge is very weak, and that is what creates greater scope for manipulation and hype. I think that once that grounding is done, the physical and the virtual get connected, then I think a lot more sensible stuff will start happening on the NFT world.
Definitely, yes.
So we're almost out of time, but before we close, panelists, I'd like to ask you all if you have any advice for young entrepreneurs, any guidance for students who are interested in investing, making a career out of this, any sort of advice, your last words.
No, for us, it's always the same in any platform. Buy good art. It is one of the best ways to enrich your place as well as to build your wealth. And at the same time, now you have these great NFT platforms that not only you can display art in your home to your guests, but also show off to your friends in the college canteen and say with a digital image that I own this NFT. Because you can be cool at the same time and enjoy some great physical art.
Yeah, and I think it's a good time to start a business or an entrepreneur journey around the blockchain and NFTs. There is a whole lot of word out there, and you will be amazed to know how many investors are ready to invest immediately if you start something. So you should not wait. You should invest. You should start your journey right now. And it's obviously it is not going to be easy, but I think it's the right time. You should never wait. This is the time you should start.
I think legally you have to be a little cautious, a little bit. Just wait till the legislation is in place, which will happen, I think, more sooner than later. But at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, you have been taught if you don't take any risks, then what?
But there is a way there is a way to solve it. Actually, you can incorporate outside India. That's very simple. I understand that Indian legislation is not very clear. So what entrepreneurs are doing is they're going to a very this NFT friendly jurisdictions like US, Singapore, Dubai. You can incorporate the company there, and actually you can start operating, because international market you have to think about. I agree, there is definitely uncertainty, but I'm sure that it will be sorted out by the government. And this is very important for us as well as government both, because they want to become a $5 trillion economy. So it will be like this only, supporting businesses, especially the new innovation in the modern age innovations. So they will happen. It will happen, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We're out of time, but this has been great. It was very informative. Thank you all so much for your time, and thank you, IMC, for having me. It was wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you for having us here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank thank all the speakers once again for this very enriching, informative, and engaging session, especially on a topic which is so new, of what so little is known, and it's so dynamic. So thank you once again. Thank you, Mr. Mistry. Thank you, Toshendra. Thank you, Rishiraj. Thank you, Akshita. Thank you, President IMC, Mr. Khurakiwala, and all the members, entrepreneurs, and students who joined in today for the call. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.